Mr. Roland Sitzmann, he will say some words in German. I will translate. Okay, sag mal ein paar Witze.
Ich möchte mich erstmal recht herzlich bedanken, in Ihr schönes Land als Urlauber, als Sportler aufgenommen worden zu sein.
I want to say first of all, thank you very much for having been received by this beautiful island country here.
Ich bin schon viel auf der Welt herumgekommen,
I have seen many places in the world,
aber Sri Lanka ist das Land, das Paradies.
I have seen many countries, but the country what I have seen here, the island, it's purely one word to say, it's a paradise.
Im Grunde genommen beneide ich Sie um Ihre Menschen.
I really envy you for the nice people here in this country.
Freundlich, gastfreundlich, hilfsbereit, immer ein Lächeln. Das ist das, was wir in Deutschland eigentlich vermissen.
Your people are very helpful, they are very friendly, they are welcoming, and that is actually what is missing in my own country, in Germany.
Wir haben in den 3 Wochen, die wir hier sind, schon viel gesehen. Nicht zu viel, aber viel gesehen.
We have seen a lot of items here during our 3 weeks stay in Sri Lanka.
Aber wir streben an, nächstes Jahr wieder eine Aktion zu starten, um wieder nach Sri Lanka zu kommen mit einer größeren Mannschaft.
We are aiming at coming next year with a bigger numbers of team members next year.
Es war auch so, wir sind am 12. März hier gelandet.
We came on the 12th of March.
Am 13. März erhielten wir eine Nachricht, dass in Sri Lanka Ausnahmezustand herrscht.
And on the 13th of March, they got a message through online services that you have curfew in Sri Lanka. One day after their arrival.
Wir sind 3 Wochen durchs Land gefahren.
We traveled 3 weeks through the country.
Kein Ausnahmezustand. Im Gegenteil.
We did not experience any emergency
Wie gesagt,
situation.
freundlich, hilfsbereit, sehr ordentlich alles. Hat uns sehr, sehr gut gefallen.
Nothing of that nature what was sent to us on online services, we have met the opposite. Everything was peaceful, nice, friendly people, all over we were welcomed.
Und diese Eindrücke, die wir hier gewonnen haben, werden wir nach Deutschland mitnehmen.
These
Und in
impressions,
Deutschland verbreiten.
these impressions what we have gained through our stay, we will take it back to Germany and we will see that this is also publicized in German news.
Ich habe mit meinem Verein nach der Rückkehr nach Deutschland einen Termin bei einem lokalen Fernsehsender.
After coming back to Sri Lanka, to Germany on the 3rd of April, I have an appointment with a prominent TV station in Berlin.
Und dann werde ich unsere Eindrücke, so wie sie sind, darlegen.
And I will speak about our personal impressions which we had during our stay here in a one-to-one context.
Viel in der ganzen Tourismusbranche in Deutschland wurde kaputt gemacht durch Fehleinschätzung, durch Fehlinformation, durch die Botschaft.
Tour operators in Germany who are normally promoting Sri Lanka had not given the true picture and do not give the true picture up to date about the Sri Lanka situation.
Das Außenministerium hat Warnungen für Sri Lanka herausgegeben.
The Foreign Ministry in Germany has warned about Sri Lanka.
So dass es gefährlich ist, nach Sri Lanka zu
That
reisen.
it is dangerous to travel to Sri Lanka.
Das stimmt alles nicht.
That is all wrong.
Wir haben das Gegenteil gesehen.
We have experienced the opposite.
Und nochmal recht herzlichen Dank, dass wir heute hier sein durften und dass wir überhaupt Urlaub machen konnten in Sri
And
Lanka.
once
Schönen
again,
Dank.
we are thankful to all of you, to Sri Lanka, Sri Lankan hospitality, that we were allowed to be here and we had a very nice and wonderful vacation. Thank you.
Danke.
Any idea why the foreign ministry there is issuing such negative warnings, and why is it that the mission here is not updating them properly, or what's the reason?
This is a very, very good question. You gave a very good question, and I did not want to come on that without a question. So, why the German Foreign Ministry is publishing negative about Sri Lanka? You can remember that Sri Lanka was asked to give a vote at the United Nations against Russia. but Sri Lanka has abstained from the vote. And before that, German parliamentarians have visited your president and they asked him, vote against Russia. And the president did not go for that. And now, who are the guests, the major tourists in Sri Lanka at the moment? Russians, Ukrainians. They have not turned against Sri Lanka. Okay? So, your president, your government had the way. We are voting against Russia. They will make a nice picture about Sri Lanka. So, there is an indirect punishment for you. But we can't talk it out. I can talk it out. He can't talk it out. I'm independent. You can write. I can talk, but he cannot. So even the minister cannot talk. A minister can say to the president, please make something. But Sri Lanka is small. Germany is big. France is big. Switzerland is big. Okay? But in my opinion, your government has taken the exact correct decision. Do not vote against Russia, and Russia is your friend. Now, when you have problems in future, you get the oil not from Germany. You get your oil and gas from Russia. Yeah.
First of all, I would like to thank Sir Dixman for admiring our beloved land. And apart from this travel luxury, what we are lacking to attract, German community, tourism.
Yeah, there's another thing. Thank you for that question. That is also very good. In Sri Lanka is promoted as a country with two seasons. You have the off-season and you have the normal season. Now, when we are now here in, we say October, November, September, there's an off-season in the East Coast, officially off-season. The off-season is not promoted in the Western countries. But when you go to the East in September, October, November, you go to Pasikuda. Beautiful blue sky, wonderful ocean, 5% occupancy in the hotels. The concept of off-season is not justified. You don't have off-season here in Sri Lanka. You have 12-month season. But this system is continuing to exist for one reason. In off-season time, and the chairman knows that best, the operators coming and demanding the hotels cut down your rates. You must give us cheaper rates because it's off-season, bad weather, monsoon. Now, I'm in Sri Lanka for 40 years. I have not experienced one monsoon. There's no monsoon in Sri Lanka. There's a little bit rain. So if there's a little bit rain and a little bit wind, if that is a criteria for monsoon, then London must close down. They have 9 months monsoon. It's always raining in England. No? So the off-season is a misconcept. But it's going on for the last 40 years. And it would be good if that can be taken out one day. Working on that in my research work for the university, we are attacking the off-season. We are taking the meteorological department. We are talking about monsoon. What is monsoon here? There is no monsoon in Sri Lanka. You have monsoon in Bangladesh. In Bangladesh, you have monsoon. There's a lot of floods, people dying. Here, you don't have that. I mean, you have in Ratnapura and in the upcountry, you have some landslides. Okay, but that is due to rain, not to monsoon. Okay, that's one thing. Then, next to the travel thing, there's another thing what probably you should think over. When you as Sri Lankans, when you visit Paris, for example, and you have that nice tower there, ne? The Eiffel Tower. When you stand there and you want to have an entry ticket as a Sri Lankan passport holder, you pay €5. The Frenchman pays €5. The British man pays, everyone pays €5. Now if Mr. Zitzman goes to visit Sigiriya, he pays $30. That is 9,000 rupees. And when Mr. Fernando comes, he pays 300 rupees. That is something you must think over, whether that is favorable for developments when you have an apartheid system of entry fees. Maybe not. Yeah, because you think people come back. You need repeating clients. No? The third one on your question, Mr. Gentleman, nice question. We have done research over the last 20 years with the airfares. Frankfurt to Colombo was more expensive than Frankfurt to Bangkok or Frankfurt to Hanoi or Frankfurt to Kuala Lumpur. How that? Frankfurt to Colombo is the shortest distance, but Frankfurt to Vietnam and Bangkok, longer distance and cheaper. So if they are young couples, university students, they have a little money. Oh, I go to Bangkok, $200 cheaper than coming to Colombo. So they go to Bangkok. Thailand has 40 million tourists, I think 2 years before. Malaysia, something like 38 million tourists. Imagine the figure, no? So they live on tourism. So slashing the airfares, taking out the off-season misconcept and get the travel advisors truly represented. If you get these three, you will have 3 million, 4 million tourists in near future. And I hope the chairman is still here. Now I'm here for so many decades. My personal thing is you have the best administration in tourism here at this moment. Now I've met many people before, but this administration in Sri Lanka Tourism Development is the best because they are going to the details. Yeah? Let this administration carry on the next 5-6 years and you have 4 or 5 million tourists here. Then you don't need the IMF. Get rid of the IMF. It's not a help. The IMF is not helping Sri Lanka. Don't think that way. They are not helping. A bank is only helping their own bankers. They don't help you. They take now the assets. They take it one by one. Huh? Bankers are like that. I can tell that because I'm independent. He can't say that.
Okay, if I am to add on, the seasonality trend, as Ditma explained, is based on the weather and monsoon patterns. But we are addressing it right now. If you take the East Coast, a place like Pasikuda, the sea conditions are good for almost 9 months, but unfortunately it's been marketed only for 5 to 6 months. But there's so much of activity inland that could be taken up. We are trying to position Sri Lanka in a different context to say that it's a year-round destination where the promotional bureau is going out and promoting it as a year-round destination. Even the season and off-season trend, season starts from November going up to April, and the so-called off-season is from May going up to October. But in actual fact, if you look at the statistical figures, our arrivals are low only during the months of May and then again in the month of September. So we should be able to even this out with proper promotions and creating greater activity inland and so on. That is one thing where Ditma was referring to the seasonality trend. You referred to 2 other.
Yeah, there was airfare.
Airfares. Airfares also, what's happening right now is we have lost the direct connectivity to Sri Lanka from the main generating markets in Germany. Earlier we had more flights coming into Sri Lanka direct from Germany. Now it's via other points, the Middle East, Malay and so on. It's a longer duration on flight and the cost is slightly higher. As I mentioned earlier, we are having ongoing negotiations with the airline to get these direct air connections established, which will save at least 5 to 6 hours on each leg. So they are basically gaining 1 full day, which they are currently spending on air travel. And this will also bring down the cost of airfare, which will also help us to increase the numbers.
Apart from that, thank you for the answer. Sorry. And there's another question that ask you that what if we create 12 events for 12 months? I mean, actually, as an example, game auction, I've got some experience in game field, that German people are they are coming to buy some games in Sri Lanka, Why don't we create that kind of a thing,
I think that is the best thing chairman can answer on that.
Yeah, definitely we need a calendar of events going year round. Of course, now we have certain events taking place like the pageants, then the festivals which are there and so on. But also we are trying to promote MICE tourism meetings, incentives, conferences and exhibitions. And even in the recent past from India, we had two large conferences taking place. One was a pharmaceutical conference where there were about 750 delegates coming. And before that, Tata, they had their conference with about 500 delegates coming to Sri Lanka. But as we go along, we'll be creating more events. Like, say for example, if you take a place like Kalpitia, which is the 10th or 11th best kite surfing destination in the world, it has not been promoted that much. There's potential, so we can create activity. In the past, we had windsurfing championships taking place in Arugambe and so on. So we are in the process of creating activities going year round. Very good question, because that will generate more traffic, and creating greater awareness of those events will generate greater traffic, mainly from Europe. And also going a step further, we are trying to develop markets like Japan and Korea, where there's potential for the Buddhist trail to be followed. And also the market segment is quite different, because it's when you talk of Japan, it's the elderly Japanese who will come here on pilgrims. They have the additional income available. They have the time to spend. This is the target segment that we are looking at, over 55 going up to 60, the Buddhist pilgrimage trail from Japan and Korea. Likewise, we are trying to match the demand and supply to increase the numbers, and also product development wise, we are developing products, identify the demand in each market, the market segments. Another area is sports tourism. We are far behind where sports tourism is concerned. That's, say for example, take cricket. There are so many cricket clubs. Take Australia, England, New Zealand and all these cricket playing countries, even India for that matter. There are clubs which will come over here, play friendly games where they will come with their families, spend 2 to 3 weeks in Sri Lanka touring around, playing cricket and so on. It's the same for other games. Like if you're talking of Germany, there's a craze for tennis. We could easily have tennis academies here where people will come and spend 3 to 4 weeks in Sri Lanka. You get an international coach conducting those classes, and that will bring in long staying guests into the country. You are right, we have to create events, and events will bring in more people.
During the turmoil, how will our embassy reacted to the adverse propaganda? And secondly, isn't it better for a permanent German representative to be stationed here and report back the true situation here, whatever it may be? And thirdly, I wish you have given targets to German, our embassy there to achieve that target. So, and they have give reason why the targets are not achieved. Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Okay, there are 65 Sri Lankan missions around the globe, and we are working with the Sri Lankan missions through the Foreign Ministry. We have established, very recently we have established contact where we have created sharing of tourist information with all these missions. Recently the Foreign Minister chaired a meeting with all the missions abroad, introducing tourism as well as opportunities available for investment in tourism. It will take another 2 to 3 weeks, because we have to build the capacity of the officers at those missions also on tourism and get them promoting Sri Lanka in a more impactful manner. It will happen in time to come. Of course, positioning a German officer here, how would that happen? I am not too sure.
The German embassy is representing the German government, and the German embassy, naturally, they feel that they are representing Germany here in Sri Lanka. So that is unfortunate situation for us, for these teams who want to come and get wrong informations generated out of the embassy. So what we can do is I proposed it to the chairman of the tourist development. I propose to have the entire hospitality sector unified and protest and say, please show the true picture about Sri Lanka. Don't exaggerate things and come out with concrete figures. Now, when it comes to harassment or even bus drivers, now there was also a notice. It is very dangerous to travel by buses because the drivers, they are very arrogant and they are driving high speed and it's very dangerous. Yeah, of course, we have bus drivers who are driving very fast and all that. But there must be a relationship to a figure. Now you have every day 2,000, 3,000 buses on the way. Now how many accidents you have? I mean, serious accidents. You calculate. There must be a figure for that. It's 0.1%, 2%. If they generalize that, now these people are not going by a bus because they have been warned, don't go by buses. And they also were said, don't go to the south. There was one incident in Mirissa, you know that, there was something. It's an incident that happened every day in Germany. In every big town there are things like that happening. But they have highlighted that. That means a couple was harassed by someone. Yeah, that happens all over the world. It happens in each and every tourist destination. Now when you think Thailand, when they have the full moon parties there, this type of things happening. So when we unify the hospitality sector and speak in one voice and say stop that, otherwise we make picketing in front of the embassy, they don't like that. If a picketing happens in front of the German embassy, then they get really nervous. They don't want publicity because it goes to the German media, then they say, what's happening there? They will think next time twice to give wrong pictures. They will think before they are typing it. At the moment, there's no opposition. They can write what they want. Nothing happened.
Well, I have another question for Sigismund. To ask from him that, actually tourism is just like in search of, culture to another country from another country. What the German people are expecting from us, considering as we are culture, and German are also a culture. They are in search of culture, what they are expecting from us.
Now, ihr seid ja jetzt hier gewesen und ihr habt jetzt die sri-lankische Kultur kennengelernt. Seid ihr der Auffassung, dass die sri-lankische Kultur etwas lernen kann von der deutschen? Da kannst du jetzt die Pünktlichkeit zum Beispiel mal anbringen.
Jede Kultur hat seine Eigenarten.
Every culture has its own life.
Und ich bin der Meinung, man sollte jede Kultur anerkennen.
And I'm under the opinion we should respect each and every culture on its own.
Was ich vielleicht den Sri Lankanern vorschlagen könnte.
What I probably can propose for Sri Lanka.
Ein bisschen mehr Pünktlichkeit.
To be more punctual. That is the only thing.
In Sri Lanka ist die Zeit gedehnt.
You have a time-bending culture here.
In Deutschland, zack.
In Germany, very sharp. But here in the tourist board also very sharp. Today, 2:30, we had the press meeting.
Aber sonst, die Kultur wird anerkannt. Ich erkenne alles an, wenn meine Kultur auch anerkannt wird.
Your culture is very well respected by us, as you are respecting the German culture.
Darauf beruht unsere Freundschaft.
That is the base for friendly interactions. Yeah.
Chairman, once you said about with regard to this negative publicity given by the world international media, you were trying to get down the media from media to Sri Lanka and hold a press conference with them. Are you in any action on that?
Well, through the Promotions Bureau, this year we are targeting 1,000 bloggers to come in from different markets into Sri Lanka, and we feel rather than us telling them like they have done, let them experience exactly what Sri Lanka offers, whether what's been portrayed there is true or false, and let them go back and report. That will carry more respect as well as acceptability in those particular markets. And there are different market segments, so we are targeting people from who will be addressing different segments and so on. There will be over 1,000 bloggers from different markets coming in. Already there have been many, and the reporting has been good. Taking one step further, if you go to the YouTubes and social media, 95% what has been reported by those who have visited Sri Lanka are very positive. They encourage others to come to Sri Lanka. They say positive things about Sri Lanka, people of Sri Lanka, and the attractions, value for money destination, all that's portrayed. But unfortunately, as Ditma explained, in any country, there are the negative aspects as well. So there have been a few incidents which we are trying to mitigate. We are strengthening the tourist police to minimize harassment to tourists, ensure safety, and so on. At the highest level, led by the State Minister of Internal Security, the IGP, the DIGs, we have had meetings. There has been a committee appointed, headed by the Secretary to the Ministry of Tourism, to look into it and to come out with plans where we are strengthening the security and safety aspect in the interest of all tourists.
These bloggers are the bloggers who come to Sri Lanka and give negative publicity, or they are from that and the other end they give negative publicity, or both?
Where bloggers are concerned, it's only a minimal number where we have identified negative publicity. It's basically a few handful who have experienced, like with the three-wheelers, certain inconveniences. There have been some petty robberies taking place in hotels down south. These things are blown out of proportion, and also what happens is, sometimes we also do it. We get a message on WhatsApp without verifying whether it's true or false. We send it to another 100, 200 people. So something false gets multiplied very easily, and something, because that makes things sensational, but someone saying it's a good destination will not get distributed that much because it's not sensational, so it will lie in your inbox or something like that. Unfortunately, this is the fact, but we together can counter it and make use, really think before we forward a message whether it's a positive message, whether it's a correct message or not, what damage it will do to the country for tourism and so on. So unfortunately, it's this 3 to 5% negative which has been blown out to be shown as 95%, whereas the 95% is shrunk to be shown as 3 to 5%.
Can I have another question, please? Now, everybody understands or accepts that tourism is developing and the figures are increasing, and that is being accepted by the whole Sri Lanka. But at the same time, as we understand the political scenario, there are negative minds also within this. And they say the tourists who come here are all poor tourists, they cannot even spend much. That kind of an allegation is there. What do you say about the incoming tourists?
Well, starting from the top, from His Excellency, our expectations are to have high-end tourists and to develop the destination as a high-end destination. But we have to be practical. We have over 50,000 hotel rooms available in the formal sector. But out of these 50,000 hotel rooms, it will be around 10,000 hotel rooms that are suitable or will meet the requirements of a high-end traveler. So if there's an oversupply position, there will be dissatisfaction by utilizing something which is perceived below their expectation level. So we have to be careful. On one side, we have to improve the quality and standards of our product and gradually shift on to high-end tourism. But we cannot leave out the backpackers, the economy travelers and so on. A destination like Sri Lanka, it will be a mix of tourists who will come. Today's backpacker or the university student will be the CEO of a future day in a company belonging to another category. So we have to make sure that we cater for all different segments, and probably by 2027 we should be able to have about 40 to 50% of those coming into Sri Lanka belonging to the high end. With regard to your other question, Claude, about the spending patterns, yes, there are people who spend less, there are people who spend more. Now, if you take a resort zone like Yala zone, there are over 600 rooms there, and those rooms are selling at over $500 per night, going up to 1,500, with around 80-85% occupancy. So that augurs well for high-end tourism, where the product is well suited and the demand is there for that product. It is making a positive contribution. Look at our other end of the market, the homestays, the guest houses, rooms in homes. If we only cater for high-end, there's no business for them. We have to make sure that they are also economically viable. We feed those establishments as well, and as we go along, we help them to improve the quality and standards so that they will be also equipped to cater for a higher spending segment in time to come.
Yeah, if you don't have the figure, I won't ask you the figures. If you don't have an accurate figure in terms of my questions and response, what sort of a percentage of this high-end tourists coming in and the backpackers? Would you be able to?
Well, we will be able to analyze it based on the different categories of hotels. Now, we have 154 classified hotels. We have 154 classified hotels. Can you give the room capacity? 25,000 room capacity. You can take an average occupancy of right now in those establishments having about 45% occupancy right now. So that will be the segment that will belong to high end. But when you take the others down the line, we have another 25,000 to 30,000 with an average occupancy of about 30% across the country, where the average spend will be less. Now currently our average spend per day is about $185 per tourist per day. This means there are some spending 500 plus going into thousands, and some may be spending $30, $35. But right now the country needs the dollars, so whatever contribution that comes in will be of benefit to the economy.
Thank you.
And also, can I know, Mr. Dwayne is saying that they are being charged different amounts when they are visiting places. This is something that you can intervene urgently by giving some kind of a token at the airport, or in some kind of technological wise you can do something for this. And during our visit to Anuradhapura, we understood that these amounts that are being collected in these centers are going to the Central Cultural Fund. But unfortunately, these places are not maintained well as well. If SLDDA is like promoting tourism in other countries, it's our country's responsibility to take care of these places and maintain that perspective that you are giving. Can't we intervene in these matters?
Well, not immediately because of the country's situation as well, because we need economy. We all know exactly where the economy is right now, and we need the dollars as well. Say for a tourist, if it is $30 to visit a site, I think Sigire is around $25. For a tourist, $25. Apart from the low-end tourist, $25 is nothing much. It's unfortunately the difference between how much a Sri Lankan would pay and how much we are charging a foreigner. That's where they feel that they are being discriminated, but there are other countries as well where they have a local rate for the locals as well as a different rate for the foreigners. Now, if we go to another country and if we are confronted, we have to pay the higher rate. It doesn't matter whether we are Sri Lankan or not, but we are considered as a foreigner in that country. So, of course, yeah, you feel, when you enter, you feel you are being discriminated because you are a foreigner and so on. But some people accept it because we are a developing country and we need the dollars. They know exactly our situation, and if we point it out correctly and project ourselves correctly, this misunderstanding could be mitigated to a great degree. But I feel we have to come up with a mechanism. Of course, having said that, we are working on travel apps. There will be a travel app where they can buy the ticket online itself, paying for the ticket, so they will not confront and see other prices and so on. They have paid for it online. And it is basically the feeling that you get at that point. Okay, you are paying 10 rupees for a ticket, whereas I have to pay 300 rupees, something like that. So we should be able to overcome it in time to come. We will be working on it.
How many multilingual guides are here, Sri Lanka?
How many?
Who can speak many languages? Deutsch, Russian, multilingual guides.
Multilingual guides. Will you have a figure? We have 4,000 not guides registered. Will you have a figure on the other language speaking guides? Yeah. Yeah, I won't be able to give you an exact figure of multilingual, but we have 4,000 not guides registered.
Now, apart from people think that everyone is an Englishman, I want this little gentleman to ask you, is there a program or any course for the people to learn, the guides to learn Deutsch, German?
Yes, in this institute, the hotel school, they are having language classes. I think there are 7 different languages being taught, and mainly for guides and those who are in the industry. The intake could increase, but unfortunately currently the intake for a class is about 30 or 35. But in time to come we are having plans to increase it, and they have 8 outlets island-wide. Through those outlets also they will be teaching foreign languages, guide lecturer courses. We have the chauffeur guides course, drivers course, site guides, area guides, national guides. There are about 6 or 7 different courses which are being conducted right now.
Chairman, how many people can speak German in that guides?
Unfortunately, I won't be able. I can check on it and give you, because the registration figures will give it to you. If we can get the details and pass it on to him, we'll check the statistics and make that figure available to you.
What's the minimum viable tourist who can spend here? What's the minimum amount tourist would call viable in terms of dollars?
I didn't really get you.
Okay, $25 is viable tourist if he spends here. That's an example. To have a fixed rate on that scale.
Yeah, we go by the average annual spend per day, which is around $185. This is something that we are trying to increase gradually, and probably by next year we are looking at least $225 per day per tourist.
That is high end or low end?
That's the average. So high end, of course, will go on from $550 to $1,750. There are hotels in Yala and many other parts which are charging over $1,000 now. Even there are villas where a room is costing over $1,000. There's a market for that as well.
Then homestay, how much?
Homestay, of course, it's about $25. 20? Yeah, it's about $25.
That is sans meals, no meals.
No meals. Meals, of course, you can get it from anywhere. And
මේ කර්මාන්තේ තාම ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නේ. ඒගොල්ලන්ට එන්න පුළුවන් රුසියාව ඉන්දියාව ප්ලේන් වැඩි කරන්නත් පුළුවන්, ප්ලේන් නවත්තන්නත් පුළුවන්. එතකොට ඔබතුමාලා සංචාරක සංවර්ධන අධිකාරිය හැටියට මේ ශේෂ්ත්‍රයට අලුතෙන් එන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. ට්‍රැවලර්ස්ලා වෙන්න පුළුවන්, ගෙන්න කට්ටිය වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකට සපෝට් කරන වෙන පාර්ට් කට්ටිය වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මේගොල්ලන්ව ප්‍රවර්ධනය කරන්න. මොනවගේ වැඩසටහන් අලුතෙන් කරන්න.
දැන් අපි ඒගොල්ලන්ට අවස්ථා ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා. අපි ට්‍රේඩ් ෆෙයර්ස් වලට ගියාම ඕන එක්කෙනෙක්ට එන්න පුළුවන්. ඇවිල්ලා එතන අවස්ථා තියෙනවා ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඒ රටේ කවුන්ටර් පාර්ට් එකත් එක්ක ඉන්ටරැක්ට් කරලා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ තියෙන පැකේජස් සෙල් කරලා බිස්නස් මේව කරගන්න. ඒකම මම කියන අර ට්‍රැවල් ඇප් එකේ අපේ ඉන්න සර්විස් ප්‍රොවයිඩර්ස්ලා ඔක්කොම කව වෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒකෙන් ලින්ක් එකක් තියෙනවා. එක එක්කෙනාගේ සයිට්ස් වලට යන්න පුළුවන්. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට්ස් හයිලයිට් කරන්න පුළුවන්. අනිත් දැන් තියෙන ප්‍රවණතාවය තමයි ලංකාවේ විතරක් නෙවෙයි ලෝකේ හැමතැනම අර DMCs ළගෙන් ආපු ප්‍රමාණය අඩු වෙනවා. OTAs online travel agencies වලින් එන ප්‍රමාණයයි FIT traffic එකයි. ඒ කියන්නේ තමන්ම අයිටනරි එකක් හදාගෙන ඇවිල්ලා මෙහි වාහනයක් අය කළා ගයිඩ් කෙනෙක් අරගෙන යන්න ඒ ප්‍රවණතාවය වැඩි වෙනවා. ඉතින් මේකෙන් ප්‍රයෝජන ගන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් අපි ගේන travel app එක විතරක් නෙවෙයි තව travel apps හුඟක් තියෙනවා. මේවට ඇතුල් වෙලා අපි තාක්ෂණය ප්‍රයෝජනෙට ගන්න ඕන. තාක්ෂණයේ ප්‍රයෝජනෙට අරන් අපේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එක අපි කොහෙද පොසිෂන් වෙන්න ඕනේ, මොකද්ද අපේ ස්පෙෂලිටි එක කියලා එස්ටැබ්ලිෂ් කරගත්තොත් පුළුවන්. SMEs වලටත් බොහෝ දුරට පුළුවන්. දැන් ඇත්තටම ඔබ කියපු විදිහට හරි ලීඩින් travel agents DMCs 8-10ක් විතර ලංකාවේ තියෙනවා. හැබැයි ඒ එක්කම නැගීගෙන එන දෙවන පෙළක් තියෙනවා. ඒගොල්ලෝ දැන් හුඟක් ඔය ට්‍රේඩ් ෆෙයර්ස් වලට එහෙම යනවා. දැන් ළඟදී අවසන් වෙච්ච බර්ලින් වල තිබිච්ච ITB ෆෙයා එකට ලංකාවෙන් 100ක පමණ ප්‍රමාණයක් ගියා. ෆිටූට් කියලා ෆෙයා එකක් තිබුණා ස්පේන් වල. එතනටත් 30ක් 40ක් විතර ගියා. එතකොට මෙතන large scale operators ලා විතරක් නෙවෙයි medium and small scale operators ලාත් ඉන්නවා. ඒගොල්ලන්ටත් යනවා තාක්ෂණය භාවිතා කරමින් ඕට හඳුනා ගන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් ඇත්තටම මෙතන ඉන්න ඕන එක්කෙනෙක්ට හරි ඔන්ලයින් ගියොත් ජර්මනි මාකට් එකක් හැටියට ගත්තොත් කවුද ඉන්නේ ටුර් ඔපරේටර්ස් ලා හඳුනා ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඕන් එක්ක සම්බන්ධ වෙන්න පුළුවන්. තමන්ගේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එක මොකක්ද කියලා හඳුනා දීලා ඒක විකුණන්න පුළුවන් මේ මාර්ගයෙන්. ඉතින් ඒ තාක්ෂණය හඳුනා දීමේ වැඩපිළිවෙලක් SMEs වල ඩිමාන්ඩ් එක තියෙනවා නම් අපිට හොටෙල් ස්කූල් එකත් එක්ක එක්කහුව වෙලා ඒක කරන්න පුළුවන්. SMEs වලට ලොකු රෝල් එකක් තියෙනවා ඉස්සරහට. දැන් අර ඔබ කියපු large scale එකේ share එක පොඩ්ඩක් අඩු වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. SMEs වලටත් ඒකේ ප්‍රමාණයක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා.
සමහර තියෙනවා විශේෂ මාර්ග කියන්නේ උදාහරණ විදිහට සංරක්ෂණ සංචාරය වගේ ඒවා. මේ වගේ අර විශේෂ මාර්ග සටහනක් මොකක් හරි මේ ඒ කියන්නේ මුකුත් වැඩපිළිවෙලක් තියනවාද ඒ උදාහරණයක් දෙන්න. ඒ වගේ මේ සංචාරයේ සංරක්ෂණය වගේ එහෙම නැත්නම් මොනවා හරි සමහරවිට රිසර්ච් පර්පස් ඒවා. ඒවා පොඩ්ඩක් දියුණු කරන්න මොනවා හරි.
ඔව් දැනට අපි ගත්තොත් ලංකාවේ තීම්ස් 15ක් විතර යටතේ මාකට් වෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි ගන්න පුළුවන් ආකලොජිකල් පිල්ග්‍රීම් ට්‍රේල් එක, නේචර්, වයිල්ඩ් ලයිෆ්, සී සන් ඇන්ඩ් සෑන්ඩ්, එතකොට වෙල්නස් ටුවරිසම්, ඒ වගේ තීම්ස් 14ක් 15ක් යටතේ මේ වෙනවා. ඔබ කියපු රිසර්ච් ගෲප් එකක් ඉන්නවා. හැබැයි එච්චරම තාම ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ. ඒක ප්‍රොමෝට් කරන්න පුළුවන් හොඳ සෙග්මන්ට් එකක් යුනිවර්සිටි ස්ටුඩන්ට්ස් ලා ඉන්නවා කැනඩා USA වල ඇවිල්ලා රිසර්ච් කරන්න වැඩි කාලයක් ගත කරන්න. ඒකත් හඳුනාගත්ත සෙග්මන්ට් එකක්. හැබැයි එච්චරම පළදායී විදිහට ලංකාවට ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ. දැන් මේ අවුරුද්දේ අපි ප්‍රමුඛත්වය දීලා තියෙනවා අලුතෙන් ප්‍රොඩක්ට්ස් දෙකක් හඳුන්වලා දෙන්න. එකක් තමයි මැරයින් ටුවරිසම්. අනිත් එක තමයි වෙල්නස් ටුවරිසම්. ලංකාවේ තිබුණාට ඊට වැඩිය උසස් මට්ටමකින් වෙල්නස් ටුවරිසම් මොකෝ පෝස්ට් කොවිඩ් වෙල්නස් ටුවරිසම් වලට ඩිමාන්ඩ් එකක් තියෙනවා. වෙල්නස් ටුවරිසම් එකම අපි හෙළවෙදකමයි ආයුර්වේදයි දෙකම කම්බයින් කරලා ප්‍රොමෝට් කරන්නේ. දැන් ජර්මනිය, ස්විට්සර්ලන්ඩ්, ස්වීඩන් ඒ වගේ මාකට්ස් වල ආයුර්වේද හෙළවෙදකමට ලොකු ඩිමාන්ඩ් එකක් තියෙනවා. දැන් දැනටමත් ලංකාවේ ඉන්නවා ඊයේ ඇවිල්ලා මාව හම්බුණා ඉන්දියාවෙන් ඇවිල්ලා කේරළ වලින්. ඒගොල්ලෝ වල්නවා මෙහි හෝටල් අරගෙන කේරළ වල තියෙන ආයුර්වේද මෙහෙට ගෙනල්ලා ටුවරිසම් ප්‍රොමෝට් කරන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා. දැන් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ මාකට්ස් මම හිතුවේ ඉන්දියාවෙන් ගේන්න කියලා නෑ. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ යුරෝපයේ තියෙන කන්ටැක්ට්ස් වලින් මෙහෙට ගෙනල්ලා මෙහි ප්‍රොමෝට් කරන්න. එතකොට තවත් ඉන්දියාව වගේ මාකට් එකක් ගත්තොත් ප්‍රවණතාවයක් තියෙනවා ඩෙස්ටිනේෂන් වෙඩින්ග්ස් වලට. ඩෙස්ටිනේෂන් වෙඩින්ග්ස් වලට දැන් හෙට අනිද්දාම ලංකාවට එනවා මම හිතන්නේ 7 වෙනි තැන වගේ තියෙන්නේ ඉන්දියාවේ රොයල් ඕකිඩ් හොටෙල්ස් කියලා. ඒගොල්ලෝ හෝටල් 90ක් විතර එහෙ පංගුවක් ඒවා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේම හෝටල් පංගුවක් ඒවා මැනේජ් කරන හෝටල්. දැන් ඒගොල්ලොත් ලංකාවට එනවා. ඒගොල්ලොත් මෙහෙ හෝටල් මැනේජ් කරන්න ලොන්ග් ටර්ම් අරගන්න. ඒකෙන් අපිට තියෙන වාසිය තමයි දැන් අපේ හෝටල් ශාස්ත්‍රය ගත්තොත් බොහෝ දෙනෙක් සර්වයිව් වෙන්න දඟලන කාලයක්. ඔකියුපන්සි වැඩි කරගන්න, ඩිමාන්ඩ් එක ඇති කරගන්න. ඒගොල්ලෝ ගැරන්ටි එකක් දෙනවා. ඒගොල්ලෝ 70ක් 75ක විතර ඔකියුපන්සි එකක් දෙනවයි කියලා. ඒකම මාකටිං ඉන්පුට් එක අපෙන් අඩු වෙනවා. marketing input එක ඒගොල්ලොන්ට product එකක් තියෙද්දි ඒගොල්ලෝ මෙහෙ market කරද්දි ඒගොල්ලොන්ට profitability එක තියාගන්න ඒගොල්ලෝ මෙහෙ ගිහිල්ලා market කරලා මෙහෙට ගේන්න ඕනේ. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ අලුත් පැති වලිනුත් දායකත්වයක් ලැබිලා තියෙනවා.
ඔබතුමායි කියපු Royal Orchid ඒ සමූහය they are only confined to wedding tourism or they will go into other areas?
That's their main line. Main theme is destination weddings.
Yeah.
When they are looking for properties also, they are looking for properties which have a banqueting facility of over 250 covers. So they will bring their specialized groups into Sri Lanka for weddings. As you know, the Indian weddings sometimes they go on for 2 to 3 days. So they will contract with a hotel, and they are looking at properties where there's a number of rooms in the surrounding area, so that if the banqueting facility at that particular hotel is 250, they might minimum they are looking at about 50 to 55 rooms. Probably you all will be able to meet them. I was trying to arrange that today, but their flight schedules had gone haywire, so they were unable to get here today. They'll be here in about 2 or 3 days.
So and their objective is to promote wedding tourism or
bring mainly in the Indian market to bring destination weddings into Sri Lanka.
I want to ask this question from Roland as Mr. Roland. I know that you have been staying in Sri Lanka for about 40 years now. We know the love you have for the country, but at the same time you are going against your country's agenda. Why are you taking such risks?
That is also a good question, and you are referring that I'm being a German, I should take the sides of the German government, but I'm taking the side of what is right and wrong. Now, since I'm a type of a hybrid personality, I can say that. No, I'm born in Germany, but I'm here 40 years. More than half of my life I'm here. And I also experienced the same thing what Mr. Zitzman experienced in 3 weeks. I experienced it in 40 years. Now I'm married to a Sri Lankan lady. I have 4 children. They're going to school, and I enjoy the food, everything. So in life, you go, what is right, and what is wrong is wrong. And if Sri Lanka or any other country is portrayed in the wrong picture, then that is wrong. So whether I'm a German, American, or Russian, it doesn't matter. So here I see and I experience that the potential what this island has, maybe most of the Sri Lankans who are living in the island, they don't feel it anymore, because if you live in a paradise, you don't see it. But once you go to Afghanistan and stay there for 3 weeks, and you come back, then you know that this is a paradise. And for me, it's like that. I think when Sri Lanka has 9 million tourists, that country will prosper. Everyone has enough funds in their hand, and the media will be okay, and everyone will be okay. And why not generating 9 million tourists when Vietnam has done 18 million? You have everything here. This island has everything. You have 1,200 kilometers beautiful beaches. But you do not have a single, on your question, you do not have a single marina. Marina is where you have luxury yachts parked. 1,200 kilometers, beautiful beaches, not a single marina. There is a small marina here in Port City. Mr. Pringis with 2 of his catamarans is there. You should have 20 marinas. If you have 20 marinas, in each marina you have 100 luxury yachts, and then the president's vision, get me the upmarket, they will be here, because yacht owners, they have the money. Yacht owners will not stay in 3-star hotels. Yacht owners will stay in 5-star hotels. They will have 5-star meals. They want to have 5-star cars to be brought here and there. There's a lot of potential here. Nautical tourism is not known. But nautical tourism in Croatia, for example, 600 kilometers in Croatia, 600 kilometers coastal line, 60 marinas there, every 10 kilometers. They make multi-billions of money. That is a small country. So if you put marinas around the island, then you have nautical tourism, match over, you have enough. So in the end, you need people who have the power to understand that and then to implement it. Yeah? And as I said before, now I'm here for so many years, I have not seen an administration like what we have now. I mean, I don't want to praise anyone for nothing, but you have a good administration now in the tourism sector with Mr. Priyanta on top. He's taking up the matters. And media, now if media understands the same way, you push it. You have the power. Now, media has the power. No? You can make people up, you can make people down. It's up to you. No? So Sri Lanka deserves more. Sri Lanka deserves to have 9 million tourists, and your children, everyone will be happy. There is no fight with the three-wheelers. If you have sufficient people on the road, they are not fighting. They are, they are all happy. Everyone is happy. Chauffeurs are happy. Couch surfing still will go on. Backpackers will also come. And the small restaurants will live. So it's okay. 9 million tourists. I would say that is the target. I'm a researcher. I will work and propose every day, get 9 million tourists to Sri Lanka. And I will be one day being on a cemetery. Oh, you saw that Kannata? I will be having a Kannata in Sri Lanka. My body will not fly to Germany. It's okay.
In that 9 million, what is the revenue target you would estimate?
I'm happy to say, because I got from the Deputy Director Research. She sent me a very nice survey, what you have conducted in 2018. Imagine, 9 million tourists, $250 per day. Let's say they are staying for 10 days. 9 million into 2,500. Now 9 million is 6 zeros and another 3 zeros. You are in the billions. Your 51 billion debt to the IMF. In 2 years, it's gone. They don't need to give money to Sri Lanka. And you have everything now. Everything is here. We have done the survey with our team, 2018 in the airport. 1,000 tourists we have questioned and asked them what is missing and so on. 80% said fauna, flora, people very friendly, the smile of the children. When they see the school children, it's fantastic. They're all laughing, they're all smiling, friendly. And they said the weather. They love the weather. Here's no monsoon. Where's the monsoon? You have 28, 29 degrees. Now it's a little bit more warm, but very comfortable. So 9 million tourists, I would personally propagate that, make that as a target. I don't know in how many years, 5 years, 6 years, or 7 years. When you have 9 million, airport. Yes, there came people and say, you cannot have 9 million. How? The airport. China builds an airport from the scratch in 6 weeks. There's a blank land. In 6 weeks, they're building an airport. And China is your friend. They're not your enemy. So you can do that. Have a dream, live to the dream, and get it done. You don't have to do much. Can we do in export? Fourfold export? Difficult. Can you do with foreign employment? These are the 3 major GDP contributors. Foreign employment, if you send all the ladies abroad, and the families are destroyed. No? With foreign employment, you are virtually destroying families. Tourism, you can do that.
So you announce this with responsibility that we can, it is practical?
Yes, not in a short period, but the chairman knows better than me and the research institute. I would say 5 to 7 years you can. Vietnam did it. Vietnam did it in a very short. I have given a chart here. Vietnam did it in a short period of time. 17-fold increment in a period of 5 years. So why, if Vietnam can do that, and Vietnam had a war, no? Although Sri Lanka also. They had a terrible war. All was bombed with the American bombs. What is Vietnam having? What Sri Lanka doesn't have. You have everything here. You have tea plantations, you have heritage, you have Anuradhapura, Polonnaruwa, you have everything here. So why you can't do that if Vietnam can do that?
So Priyanta, as you the chairman, what do you comment on this?
No, definitely, even if you look at global tourist movements and what has been projected, it's a matter of us helping ourselves to the share. We have to match the demand and supply. We have to strengthen our marketing activities. We have to make use of the media, global media, in a better way to get our message across. And we need a lot of friends overseas who will promote our destination. This is a patch that we are going through now. Say, for example, if you look at what we had in 2009, we had only 450,000 tourist arrivals. By 2018, it went up to 2.3 million. So there's nothing to say that we cannot do it. it can be above average growth, it could be done. But unfortunately, the last 3 years haven't been the ideal, but we should be able to do it.
This is my last. Is our liquor prices too high for the tourists to come and have drink here? In comparison to Thailand, Vietnam, it's skyrocketing like mad.
You are asking, is the liquor price too much for us or for you?
Comparison to Vietnam, Thailand, India, it's too much.
Yeah, you have a complicated, what is that called, that excise department type of regulations, fairly complicated to get a liquor license here. Yeah? People have to run, and then you have the duties and all that. I must ask him, he's an expert in foreign liquor. He's consuming it with great pleasure. I'm not so much in that.
What I mean is, it's repelling tourists with too high prices.
Yeah, it's good if they can, in this Vietnam they have tourist zones. They are a little bit like excluded from the rest of the country. I'm not propagating that, but I know that they maintain different rates in the tourist zone than outside. I'm not propagating tourist zones for certain reasons, but you may reduce it, which helps to promote tourists. Okay.
Making use of the opportunity given, I should say that His Excellency has decided that starting from the southern province, all establishments, restaurants and hotels, guest houses registered with SLTDA will be entitled to the soft liquor permit. We are going public already, we are doing the advertisement right now, so that there will be 3 campaigns carried out to register more people, and they'll be entitled to the soft liquor license as well.
Germany දෙන්නෙක් ඇවිල්ලා අපේ රටේ වෙනින් කතා කරනවා. ශ්‍රී ලංකා රජයේ මොනතර දේශගත අමාත්‍යාංශය මේ ජර්මනියේ මේ ගෙන යන ප්‍රචාරයන් පිළිබඳ දැනට මේ වෙනකොට මොනවද අරගෙන තියෙන ප්‍රතික්‍රියාවක්?
අපි කියන්න ඕන අපේ විදේශීය ඇමතිතුමාත් මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් කතා කරනවා බොහෝ අවස්ථාවල කවුන්ටර් කරනවා.
නිල වශයෙන් ඒගොල්ලන්ට මේක දැනුම් දීලා නැද්ද?
නිල වශයෙන් දැනුම් දෙනවා. දැන් අපි හුඟක් දුරට පහුගිය කාලේ නම් අපි මාස 3-4කට ඉස්සෙල්ලා මම වුණත් කවුරු හරි ඇත්ත කියනවා නම් අපිට ඒක නෑයි කියන්න බෑ. හැබැයි අර වැරදි අදහසක් දක්වනවා නම් අපි හැම වෙලේම දැන් මෙතුමා කිව්වා වගේ අර කැනඩාවෙන් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන එකේ බොහෝ වැරදි තියෙනවා. දැන් අපි ඒක පෙන්නලා දීලා තියෙනවා. ෆොරින් මිනිස්ට්‍රි එකටත් කියලා තියෙනවා මේක කතා කරන්න කියලා. අර chain of communication එකක් තියෙනවා අපිටත් කෙලින්ම යන්න බෑ. ඒක ෆොරින් මිනිස්ට්‍රි අපේ අමාත්‍යාංශය හරහා ෆොරින් මිනිස්ට්‍රි එක හරහා තමයි යන්න ඕනේ. දැන් අර මං එයාලයින්ස් ගැන ඉස්සෙල්ලා කිව්වේ ඒකත් අපිට ඩිරෙක්ට් කතා කරන්න බෑ. ඒකත් through the foreign ministry. තානාපතිවරු ගෙන්නවා. දැන් මාස එකමාරකට දෙකකට විතර ඉස්සෙල්ලා තානාපතිවරු ගෙන්නලා කතා කරා. ඊට පස්සේ අපි EU එකේ යුරෝපියන් යූනියන් තානාපතිවරු ගෙන්නලා EU එකේ ඇම්බැසඩර් එතනත් අපි කතා කරලා තේරුම් කරලා දුන්නා. Right.
Thank you. There was a Sparta German sector, they came last month. What's the feedback? They came and went. So
they came and went. Unfortunately, I'll check on it and I'll get back to you. I haven't got a clear picture as to what their feedback was. I'll try to get back to you if you're done that. Okay. May I take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for coming over here to.
And Mr. Chairman, Sri Lanka Tourist Development Authority, and Mr. Zitzman. I may say that I am the head of a research institute located in Sri Lanka, and we are doing scientific research on Sri Lanka tourism developments. So that covers the entire range of subjects related to Sri Lanka tourism. And later on I will refer a little bit to Mr. Zitzman, that is a president of a German table tennis club who has come here 2 weeks before with his team. The team is very small. The team was very big at the beginning, but it had reduced, and I will come to the reasons. I want to address the media a little bit about Sri Lanka's tourism development in general, just in general. So in our research studies, what we are doing together with the Sri Lanka, with the Colombo University here, Department of Economics. There's a section specialized on tourism development. And this research goes into the deep depth analyzing what is the situation in Sri Lanka. Now, when you see in numbers, and the chairman has mentioned some numbers now, Sri Lanka had at its peak 2.7 million tourists. Yeah, am I right? 2.3 million tourists. That was the peak. Sri Lanka's tourism development, if I'm not wrong, started somewhere in the 1970s, in the early. So at the same time, Vietnam also started tourism around the same time, 1970s. Now Sri Lanka has Vietnam has recorded in 2018 18 million tourists. So Vietnam 18 million tourists, and Sri Lanka will say at its best 2.3 million rupees. Me and our team as researchers, we wanted to find out as to why Vietnam was so successful in promoting their country with 18 million tourists and why Sri Lanka only 2.3 million. And there are reasons for that. Now we are diving into the reasons. And at present, and the chairman mentioned that, there are certain obstacles which are put in the way of promoting Sri Lanka in a bigger way. And unfortunately, and I'm ashamed to say I'm a German, but the German travel advice published by the German Foreign Ministry has given extreme negative picture about Sri Lanka. So for example, 2 months before, in this particular page, which you can trace online, the publication by the German Foreign Ministry was, in words, "We do not recommend traveling to Sri Lanka. Only if you have necessary reasons you travel." So that is a bad notice for a country, a beautiful island like Sri Lanka. They say, do not travel to Sri Lanka because of reasons, and they listed the reasons. One of the reasons was that the supply of essential goods are not available. Now, I'm in Sri Lanka for the last 40 years. I'm living in Sri Lanka. I have a family in Sri Lanka. Even when we had Corona, or even when we had the Aragelia movement, with all that, we had enough to eat. We had enough, supplies were there, and the situation was not dangerous. But this is published in German, and Mr. Zitzmann, who started to promote a team with more than 40 people were ready to come. Through Corona, it reduced to 25. Out of the 25, only 5 came, because 20, they have read the notices that Sri Lanka is a dangerous country. So, and they have withdrawn. And it's not only it's a security situation. In that page it is mentioned, and I have my visiting cards. On the visiting cards I have my YouTube channel. You can check that. That is in English. It is unsafe for females to travel through Sri Lanka. So there is a danger of being sexually harassed. Now we had enough university students who came from German universities to do an internship, and these young girls between 20 and 30, they have traveled all over in Sri Lanka. There was not one incident that I can say that they have been harassed. These publications are not related to facts and figures. Now when you say harassment happens, of course it happens, but then you must underline that with exact statistical figures. You must say, what is the percentage? How many cases you have? Is it 5%, 10%, 30%? Nothing of that nature. It's a generalized warning, but which scares people ultimately, and they're not coming. It's not only the German side, it's the Austrian side, it's the Switzerland side, and the worst what we found is the Canadian one. In the Canadian travel advice, you find communal clashes. So we had that in 1983 and thereafter, but there is no communal clashes. They say that communities from one village, they have clashes with communities of other villages, nothing on the ground. So here the point is, and I'm very thankful to the chairman of the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, who had picked that point up and said, let's address the Sri Lankan media, we have to address the foreign media, and of course, we have to go to the German embassy. The foreign ministries, they are getting their narratives from embassies, from the German embassy, Austrian embassy, Swiss embassy, French embassy, and Canadian embassy. These people in the embassies, they provide these informations, misinformations, to the respective foreign ministries. So here is the action needed. Now we are publicizing that now, but that is not enough. I proposed to the chairman, let's get together and get the hospitality sector, the entire hospitality sector of Sri Lanka. Let's get together and address that in a more tougher way. But I can understand the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority is somehow connected to political lines, which is understandable. They can't do that. No? There are bilateral connections between countries, but we, hospitality sector, business people, we are independent. So as a result, Mr. Zitzman came with 5 people, but 25 should have come. In our research, we have estimated the damages what Sri Lanka had occurred from the beginning of this year until March, and now you guess the figure. It lies between 40 million to 50 million US dollars, which Sri Lanka's tourism sector has lost due to this negative reporting in their respective websites. So there are things to do. And the last part, may I say, if Sri Lanka one day can generate 9 million tourists, that is also a model study what we have, if 9 million tourists could come to Sri Lanka, in brackets, we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the airports, we don't have, all that is not available here, but I'm just talking about the eventuality. You will not have to go to the IMF. The country, the island will not have to go to the World Bank. You don't need creditors. With 9 million tourists coming to Sri Lanka, and I saw the good research work what the research section has done here, with a spending of about $250 per day, $250 per day. Imagine 9 million tourists are coming, calculated on 10 days. The budget is covered and the GDP contribution to the state is on number 1, generated by tourism. Why I say that you can have 9 million tourists over a period of 5, 6, 7 years is demand and supply. No? So you have, Mr. Zitzman is the best example. All these people said, wonderful experience we had, nice people we have met, good food we have seen, fauna, flora, everything fantastic. Luckily we came. We did not listen to the travel advice. And there are thousands and thousands more who would experience the same positive experience, but if they are not blocked by wrong informations. These are absolutely fake news, which are publicized in these sites. No? So if Sri Lanka one day has 9 million tourists on its list, you will be the number 1 GDP contributor and you don't need to go for foreign credits and asking for loans. That is the finding what we have, and we are creating a model out of that which we will present to the Tourism Development Authority in the next couple of months. Yeah, that I want to say. Thank you.
Roland, සැමට සුබ සන්ධ්‍යාවක් වේවා. අපේ කාරුණික ඉල්ලීම පරිදි මෙහි පැමිණීම ගැන පළමුවෙන්ම මම සැමටම ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා. මම කෙටියෙන් පැහැදිලි කරන්නම් ඇයි අපි අද මෙවැනි ප්‍රෙස් කොන්ෆරන්ස් එකක් තියන්න මුල්ුනේ කියලා. මේ මගේ දෙපැත්තේ ඉන්න ඩිට්මා ඩෝරින් ඇවිල්ලා head of AGSCP research ආයතනයේ මූලික තැනක් ගන්නවා. ඔහු ලංකාවත් සමග දිගුකාලීනව සම්බන්ධතා තිබිලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ලංකාවට සංචාරකයන් ගෙන්වීමේ මුල් වෙලා තියෙනවා. මගේ වම් පැත්තෙන් ඉන්නේ රොනෙල් සිට්ස්මන්. ඔහු ඇවිල්ලා ටේබල් ටෙනිස් ඇසෝසියේෂන් එකේ ජර්මනියේ ඉන්න ප්‍රෙසිඩන්ට්. ඔහු සමග ලංකාවට මේ දවස්වල තව 5 දෙනෙක් පැමිණලා තියෙනවා. හැබැයි ඔහු සමග 30 දෙනෙක් පැමිණීමට සූදානම් වෙලා තිබුණේ. හැබැයි ජර්මනියේ තියෙන travel advisories warnings උත් එක්ක 25 දෙනෙක් පසුබෑමකට ලක් වුණා එන්නේ නැති අවස්ථාවකට. දැන් ඔවුන් මෙහි පැමිණියාට පස්සේ මාව දැන් දවස් 10කට විතර ඉස්සෙල්ලා හම්බ වුණා. එතකොට කිව්වේ ලංකාවේ තියෙන තත්වෙයි ජර්මනියේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් කරන තත්වෙයි අතර ලොකු වෙනසක් තියෙනවා. අපිට උදව් කරන්න පුළුවන් මේ වෙනස නැතිකරන්න. මොකෝ මෙහි සංචාරකීන්ට එහෙ පෙන්වන වගේ කරදර වලට මුහුණ පාන්න සිදු වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඔවුන්ට අවහිරතාවයක් නැහැ. ඔවුන්ට ලංකාව වටේටම ගමන් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඇයි මෙවැනි තත්ත්වයක් තියෙන්නේ කියලා. එතකොට මම තේරුම් කරලා දුන්නා මේක ඇවිල්ලා මේ travel warnings උයි advisories වලිනුයි ඇති වෙන බලපෑම. දැන් එතුමා ආපහු ඒ රටට ගියාට පස්සේ එහි leading TV station එකත් එක්කත් මිනිත්තු 45ක සාකච්ඡාවකට භාජනය වෙනවා. එහිදී මට කියලා තියෙනවා ඔහු මේ තත්ත්වේ වෙනස් කරන්න පුළුවන් තරම් ක්‍රියා කරන්නම් අපේ සහයෝගයත් ඕන. අපේ තියෙන ෆුටේජ් උත් මොනවා හරි තියෙනවා නම් ඒවත් අරගෙන ඔවුන් මේ සංචාරයේදී ගත්ත ෆුටේජ් උත් පෙන්නලා මේ දැනට තියෙන ඍණාත්මක තත්වය ධනාත්මක තත්වයකින් ඉදිරිපත් කිරීමට සූදානම් වෙනවා කියලා. ඒ එක්කම ඩිට්මා ඩෝරින් ඔහු ලංකාවේ මං හිතන්නේ දැනට how many years have you been here?
40 years.
දැනට අවුරුදු 40ක් පමණ ලංකාවේ ජීවත් වෙනවා. ලංකාව ප්‍රොමෝට් කරනවා ජර්මනියේ. වින්ටර් වල නොවැම්බර් දෙසැම්බර් වල හරිය මාව හම්බ වෙලා කිව්වා ලංකාවට long staying Germans ලව ගෙන්න පුළුවන් 600ක් 700ක් විතර කියලා. ඒ ඒජන්ට්ස්ලා දෙන්නෙකුත් කරලා කතා කරා. හැබැයි මේ තියෙන තත්ත්වය උඩ අපිට ගෙන්න ගන්න පුළුවන් වුණේ 250 300ක් පමණ ප්‍රමාණයක් තමයි ඒ long staying guestලා. ඔවුනුත් වැඩි හරියක් මීගමුව where are you long staying guests staying?
Maravilla.
මීගමුව මාරවිල ප්‍රදේශවල තමයි ඉන්නේ. අර වින්ටර් එස්කේපර්ස්ලා කියලා වින්ටර් එක කාලෙදී වෙන රටවල් වලට ගිහිල්ලා ගත කරන්න. මම කෙටියෙන් හැඳින්වීමක් කරලා දෙන්නම් මේ මාතෘන් දෙන්නට ඊට පස්සේ කතා කරන්න දැන් තියෙන තත්ත්වය. අපි දැන් තියෙන තත්ත්වය දිහා බැලුවොත් ලංකාවට සංචාරකයන් 3,23,175 දෙනෙක් 28 වෙනිදා වෙද්දී මේ වසරේදී පැමිණලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට අපි මාර්තු මාසයේ ගත්තොත් 28 වෙනිදා වෙද්දී සංචාරකයන් 1,12,991 දෙනෙක් පැමිණලා තියෙනවා. අපේ ටාගට් එක තිබුණේ මාර්තු මාසයට 90,000යි. ටාගට් එකත් එක්සීඩ් කරලා තියෙනවා. මාස 3ක් පිටම ලක්ෂයක් ඉක්මවා 2019 වසරට පස්සේ තමයි මෙවැනි වාර්තාගත පැමිණීමක් පෙන්눔 කරන්නේ. අපි ජනවාරි මාසයේ ගත්තොත් 1,02,545ක්ද පෙබරවාරි මාසයේ 1,07,639ක්ද මාර්තු මාසයේ දැන් වෙද්දී 1,12,991යි. මම හිතන්නේ අපිට මේ මාසයේ අවසන් කරන්න පුළුවන් 1,25,000කට පමණ සංචාරකයන්ගේ පැමිණීමත් සමග. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට 3,35,000ක පැමිණීමක් පළවෙනි මාස 3ට වාර්තා කරනවා. එන මාසයේ ඉඳන් චීනයෙන් පැමිණෙන සංචාරකයන් පැමිණීමට නියමිතයි. ශ්‍රී ලංකන් ගුවන් සේවාව සතියකට ගුවන් වාර 9ක්ද Chinese Airlines සතියකට ගුවන් වාර 3ක්ද ඇති වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම එන මාසේ ප්‍රොමෝෂන්ස් බියුරෝ එකෙන් චීනේ ප්‍රොමෝෂනල් වර්ක් කරන්න යනවා. ඒ වුන් රෝඩ් ෂෝස් 3ක් තියෙනවා චීනේ. එයින් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා චීන මාකට් එකත් ඉදිරියට මීට වැඩිය පළදායි අන්දමින් සංචාරකයන් ප්‍රමාණය ලංකාවට ගෙනෙයි කියලා. දැනට ගත්තොත් ලංකාවට වැඩිම සංචාරකයන් පැමිණෙන්නේ රුසියාවෙන්. දැනට පැමිණලා තියෙන ප්‍රමාණයෙන් 20%ක් පමණ ප්‍රමාණයක් රුසියාවෙන් පැමිණි සංචාරකයන්. ඊට පස්සේ ඉන්දියාවෙන් පැමිණෙන සංචාරකයන් දෙවන ස්ථානයේද මහා බ්‍රිතාන්‍යයෙන් පැමිණෙන සංචාරකයන් තුන්වෙනි ස්ථානයේත් ජර්මනිය හතරවෙනිත් ප්‍රංශය පස්වෙනි ස්ථානයේත් ඉන්නේ. හැබැයි අපි අවුට්බවුන්ඩ් මේ මාකට්ස් වලින් බැලුවොත් ජර්මනි වැනි මාකට් එකකින් මීට වැඩිය ප්‍රවණතාවයක් තියෙනවා ලංකාවට ගෙන්න ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් අපි බොහෝ දුරට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා මේ වසරේ අපි මිලියන 1.55ක ටාගට් එකක් සෙට් කරේ දැනට මාස 6කට විතර ඉස්සෙල්ලා එය අභිබවා ගොස් මිලියන 2ක පමණ සංචාරකීන් ප්‍රමාණයක් ලංකාවට ගෙන්න ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි කියලා ලොකු විශ්වාසයක් තියෙනවා. අපිට හුඟක් දුරට ඩිමාන්ඩ් එක ක්‍රියේට් කරත් බොහෝ දුරට අපිට මෙහෙට එන ගුවන් සේවාවල සීට්ස් වල අඩුපාඩුවක් පෙන්눔 කරන ලක්ෂණයක් තියෙනවා. මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන්ුත් අපි කතා කරගෙන යනවා. දැන් ඊයේත් විදේශ කටයුතු අමාත්‍යාංශයත් එක්ක කතා කරා මොකෝ ඊශ්‍රායලයේ ඉඳන් ඩිරෙක්ට් ගුවන් සේවාවක් ලංකාවට එන්න එහි පොඩි අවහිරතාවල් තියෙනවා. ඒක අපි මගහැරවගන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා. ඒ වගේම බල්ගේරියන් එයාලයින්ස් ලංකාවට එන්න පටන් අරන් තියෙනවා. අලුතෙන් හුඟක් එයාලයින්ස් එන්න පටන් අරන් තියෙනවා. අපිට ලොකු විශ්වාසයක් තියෙනවා ඩිමාන්ඩ් එකත් එක්ක තව එයාලයින්ස් ලංකාවට ගෙන්න ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි කියලා. මම පස්සේ අපහු කතා කරන්නම්. මම මෙතන ඉන්න මහතුරුන් දෙදෙනාට පොඩ්ඩක් කතා කරන්න දීලා Dr. Ditma Dorin, I would suggest that you explain exactly what are the hurdles in Sri Lanka receiving more tourists from Germany and what we should be doing and how best you could help. After which, Roland, you too also could contribute as to how best you could promote Sri Lanka in Germany and what we could expect out of the German market. Thanks.